free spot now. 5 days with me to help you find the job that's worth you. Claim your free spot now. 5 days with me to help you find the job that's worth you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Agile. It is so good to be here to have an Agile conversation. As you can tell, we have got some stuff going on at the moment, and I want to make sure I welcome all of you and give you all an invite. And it would be helpful if I put some specs on and give you all an invite to join the 5-day challenge. Now, it's not for everybody. All right, the 5-day challenge is not for everybody. The 5-day challenge is really for those of you who are at that pivot point. You're really ambitious in your Agile career. Like, you're at that point now where you're like, yes, this is what I want to do, and I'm ready to rock it. If you're at that point where you're ready to really rock your Agile career and you want to find the job that, as I would say, fits you to a T, then this challenge is for you, because we're going to help you in the 5-day challenge really be able to hone in on what is that Agile position that is right for you, that is going to allow you to feel like you can bring your very best and you can bring all of who you are to the table, right? You can be seen, you can be accepted, you can belong, and you can grow and offer so much value to the people who are, of course, wise enough to hire you. So that's what the challenge is all about. So please, if you're interested in that challenge, reach out. The links are everywhere. Go to my LinkedIn profile, go to our Facebook, and join the challenge. Look for Grab My Spot, because you got a couple more days. The challenge starts on Monday. It starts on Monday, May the 3rd. We're starting at the very beginning of May to get it going, and I'm excited. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. It's going to be wonderful. So I'm here today on my lonesome, but there's a couple of tips I really want to leave with you and some thoughts around what it means for us being Agile in everyday living. One of the things you've noticed about the show is I bring different guests, depending on which week it is, to kind of talk through their life. And we've had several guests on here from different industries who've talked us through their life, and we've been able to see that as people do this thing called the journey of life, they are being Agile. Even if they don't have the lexicon, so even if they're not from our industry and they wouldn't hold their hands up and say, I'm an Agilist, nonetheless, we're seeing trending information, trending habits. One of the constant habits you're seeing is that they are willing to do it regardless. It's kind of like taking the Nike kind of idea of just do it, go ahead and just do it. And they go ahead and they just do it. And they have success. And they all talk about how they pivot They inspect and adapt. That's their pivot. They're inspecting and adapting to figure out what is the best way for them to be able to get the results that they're trying to get. We do this all the time, right? This is what we teach organizations to do as Agile practitioners. But people are doing this in life. And one of the wonderful things, if you watched earlier today, the lunchtime DEI show that I do every 2 weeks with Trisha Broderick, we were talking about how people are having to really inspect and adapt as they're doing life because of the challenges that come. And they're challenges that they weren't necessarily expecting. And because they weren't expecting these challenges, when these challenges occur, they have to inspect and adapt. But we talked about when this muscle is not strong. See, as agilists, we have a strong adaptation muscle, right? You throw anything at us, not a problem. We can just we can do it. But people who haven't had the opportunity to develop that muscle can't make those switches and find it very difficult to make that pivot. So in those moments, change is not by any means welcomed. Change is not seen as a friend. Change is not seen as a platform. Change is seen as an enemy. And when change is seen as an enemy, one becomes a victim. And we don't want teams to feel victimized, and we don't want people to feel victimized. But that's what happens when change pops up unexpected. We've all, as a society, as a global world, been touched by unexpected change and had to pivot. Businesses had to pivot and take their digital strategy from somewhere in tomorrow to being right now. Let's get it going. Otherwise, we won't have a company tomorrow. And individuals have had to make pivots too. They've had to figure out, how do I deal now with being at home? We're making pivots now as people are starting to go back into the workforce, as in a physical going back. And there are pivots around that people are having to make. It's not easy necessarily doing this thing that we called life. It has consistent challenges, but we can bring from it, as we have seen these businesses people have done, is we can bring the tenets of what is Agile. We can bring pieces of our frameworks and bring them into our everyday life and allow it to take our life to that next level. Let's take for a moment the 5 values that exist in Scrum. So I'm going to pivot it for a second and I'm going to talk Scrum for a minute. When you look at focus, openness, respect, commitment, and courage, when you look at those 5 values and you think about everything we are currently going through and have gone through as individuals in this world, all of us have had to figure out what was the most important thing to focus on. What should we really be focusing on now? What is it that we need to drive our attention to so we don't get distracted and we don't come off course, the course of living? Maybe there was a struggle that you experienced last year that almost brought you to a place where the concept of continuing just seemed so hard. If you were at that place, but you're here now, it's because you were able to take courage and focus yourself on something outside of your current emotions, current feelings, to allow you to arrive at a place where is present day. So many of us who are here in our present day without realizing it, we pulled on courage and we pulled on focus. And it was pulling on courage and it was pulling on focus that has got us to where we are today. So you see, tenets that exist within our Agile world are very much part of our everyday living. We just don't ever pause and take that reflection and realize, oh my, yes, that's true. Hadn't thought about that. I did it so instinctively, right? It became an instinct. And in working your instinct, you did it well. We as humans instinctively inside us have the ability to adapt to change. When the weather goes a bit dodgy, right? When there's crazy weather, what do? We shiver, we realize we're cold, we put on extra clothing. We adapt. So it's time to give yourself the credit, time to allow yourself to realize I have the ability to deal with whatever changes may come my way, regardless of the form that they arrive in. I have the ability to adapt. As Agile practitioners, we have the ability to take our training, to take what we do in an everyday way and bring it to our everyday living. Agility is not just for corporations. Scrum is not just for software development. It's not just for a product. Scrum can be applied to the person that is you. Because the greatest product any of us have is ourselves. I'm a product, you're a product. And we are constantly innovating us, right? We're changing our shapes, we're changing our hair, we're changing the way we view things by adapting our brain with new information. We're constantly updating the product that's us. However, we don't often realize we're doing that. And because we don't realize we're doing it, we don't often have a plan around it. And then we don't take stock. What do I mean by taking stock? We don't give ourselves the time to really inspect the changes we're making and make very conscious, intentional decisions on how to improve. Key, make very conscious, intentional decisions on how to improve. If we don't do that piece of making absolute, intentional, conscious decisions on how you want to change, you're never going to get into the momentum of taking yourself through that growth at the speed you could and get the results in life that you really desire. See, it's possible to get the results in life that you desire if you are intentional with your change, meaning that you're going to take the pause, you're going to inspect, you're going to adapt on purpose for what is the betterment of yourself. That's really bringing the things that we teach organizations into our everyday and making it part of everyday living. So, living your best life. Is it possible, Lizzie, to have this thing called the best life? Yes. Because you see, what your best life is today is not going to be your best life tomorrow. But it is for right now. And you're working in your now. When we're working with teams and we have a goal, that sprint goal is for this sprint. It's for this block of time to create value for now. It's important that you take the block of time that you have now and you create value for your block of time now, for your life, for what is important to you now. Allow yourself the space to be present in your now and improve your now. And in improving you in your now, you are going to be improving your future and you're going to be having this wonderful, amazing, yes, best life ever. Best life ever because you're making intentional steps to do those things, to make conscious change, part of your everyday living. I want to pull us to a particular principle of the Agile Manifesto that I believe we can bring into our everyday life to aid it to get to that best. And that is principle number 10. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. Why is that essential for everyday living? By finding our simplicity rhythm and maximizing the amount of things we don't do, we can keep ourselves out of overwhelm, anxiety, and stress. If I'm constantly focusing, oh my God, I've got to do this, and geez, I got to do this, and I got to, anxiety, too much. I'm trying to do too much at one time. But if I allow myself to step back and say, let me find that one thing that I can do. Let me find the thing that's going to drive the most value. Let me focus in on that for now. I may not focus on it tomorrow, but let me focus in on it for now. Then I'm putting into play simplicity. And simplicity is fostering an environment where I'm able to be my best because I'm removing anxiety, I'm removing fear. I'm not going into everything. I'm focusing on a thing, a one thing that drives value for me. That's important. It's critical to do that. When we're talking about being able to live a well life, a life where you are well up here and well in here, wellness. When we're talking about that, simplicity is a tool set that is necessary, a muscle you have to learn to flex. Even when everybody's pulling and making demands off you, the better you get at simplicity becoming an art form to you. Understand, when somebody becomes an artist, they don't become it overnight. They have to practice. They have a desire for something. They practice and they practice their craft, and they practice and they practice their craft to when you look at them and they sketch something, it looks like, oh my gosh, wow, it's so easy for you. But no, you didn't see all the sweat and the tears that they put into practicing to shade perfectly within the right time, so that when you looked at an image, it was able to capture the light in the room and give you a certain emotional response. That took practice. It's going to take practice to have simplicity as an art form of maximizing the amount of stuff you don't do. It's going to take practice. But in practicing this, you will get better and you will get better and you will get better. And then people look at you and go, you didn't flinch. I mean, you didn't flinch. I checked your body language and you didn't flinch. That didn't affect you? No, I'm focusing on what's really important. That's not as important as what I set my intention for today at. And I have learned taking on all the other things that are around is not going to help me stay well. Not well here and not well here. So now for my lifestyle, I practice simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of things I don't do, but I do stuff. Simplicity is not saying, ooh, this is going to be a Netflix day. Yeah, feet up, mate, and do nothing. This is Netflix for me all day. Now, it's not saying you're having one of those days where you're doing nothing. You are working this muscle. So, although you will appear very calm, cool, and collected, you're probably working harder than many other people in the room because you're working with your intention and you're working it hard. And you will always have an opportunity to be distracted. You will always have an opportunity to put down your goal and take on other stuff and take on everybody else's stuff. But you've got to, this is where we come now, have the courage and commitment to stick to practicing your simplicity. Have the courage to stick to it, even when everybody else is saying, well, you're not being, this is a classic, you're not being realistic. Whenever somebody tells you you're not being realistic, they simply mean this. You're not practicing your living the way I practice my living in my world. That's all they're saying to you. Because when they're looking at how you're living, it doesn't relate to the way they're living. It doesn't relate to the choices they've made about life. That's not their flex. That's not their flow. And seeing your flow, it's alien, and it should be. My flow should not resemble your flow. Why? Because you and I are two different people. We are going for different goals. We have different intentions. We have different purposes that we serve. Therefore, how I focus and how I live my life and how I make my choices is going to be different from yours. But in seeing me and me seeing you, I respect your choices and I respect the commitments that you make to yourself. Likewise, you respect my choices and the commitments I make to myself. If we all started to do that and give people room without the labels, without the judgments, without the constant comparison, you should be like me in some way, and allow people to be, then we will have a collaboration of community happening that's simply mosaic in beauty. Because everybody's showing up as themselves and everybody's always growing. Personal growth is not a happenstance. Personal growth is not circumstantial. Personal growth is conscious choosing every day to do what you're doing a better way. So if we look at what I like to call the heart of Agile, where it starts with a paragraph that says, we're uncovering better ways of doing. Every day, the challenge we take onto ourselves, if we're going to live and be agile, is to always be finding a better way, uncovering. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes when you pull the covering of something, oh, there's all kinds of crazy stuff on the inside that's kind of gross, makes you like squirmy. But it's part of getting to the next stage. You've got to uncover, and everything you uncover isn't butterflies and roses. Sometimes the things you uncover is, ooh, gross and smelly. When you think about, we go into organizations, we talk about the organization has agile smells, right? There's a stinky smell, and we can smell it because we're noticing people aren't working well together. We're noticing people don't look at each other and don't have eye contact. We're seeing all of these things. And all of these things are telling us there's a smell somewhere. And we've got to, as Agilists, go dig out that agile smell and put in some Lysol freshener of improvements and education to help that smell go away. Likewise, when you uncover something that's a little smelly about you, and I don't mean the fact that you're not doing personal hygiene. Personal hygiene, everybody should do. It's just good for you, allows your cells to just regenerate, etc. Let me come off that because I'm a little OCD when it comes to things like that. So I'm digressing. But doing that work and getting to whatever that smell in your life is, that area that has been covered for a really long time, and circumstances are pulling the cover back. As circumstances are challenging you and pulling the cover back, allow yourself to be challenged. Deal with that smell, get to the root of it, so the smell's not there anymore. And your growth is now on a different level because you're making the commitment to yourself, to find better ways of growing and improving you. You're worthwhile. I mean, you absolutely are. You're worthwhile. You're so worthwhile. So the idea of improving yourself should be a yes. I want to improve me. I want to make me better because I am my greatest treasure. You are your greatest treasure. And a lot of times we can put our treasure in stock in things and people that are external to ourselves. But we have to start with us, individuals and interactions. See, I can't have great interactions with you if as an individual, I'm not having really good interactions with myself. Again, it's one of the reasons why a lot of us as Agilists end up becoming life coaches and getting into coaching, as I put it, because we're dealing with humans. And as humans, we all have dysfunctions that we carry because we've had so many experiences that have caused us to mutate beyond our best selves. And so when we become conscious and we uncover these things and we find these smells, now we can be our better selves. Now we can take ourselves to the next level. Now we can be the people we choose to be. I have this really firm belief, and yes, I can be overly optimistic, and that's fine, and that's just who I am, that everybody is wanting to be the best version of themselves, that everybody truly wants to grow and everybody wants to be a great human being. I have this fundamental belief that everybody wants to be a fabulous human being. And because everybody wants to be a fabulous human being, because of that, they are willing to do the necessary work. But sometimes, guess what? Like organizations, hey, we want to be agile. Where do we start? I don't know where to start. Where do I start? That's the question that comes to point. Where do I begin to make this transformation, to make this change, to make my life better? Where do I start? Everybody just wants to know where to begin. It begins with number one, choice. Number two, setting an intention. Now you can set a plan to fulfill your intention. But the first thing it takes is a choice. When we go into organizations, what do we say? We can't make you agile. We can't make you do Scrum. We can't make you do safe. It's a choice you're making. And organizations, when they make the choice and they have this intention, they put money behind it, right? They put money behind it and they bring in specialists and we come in and we help them to map out what that looks like. It's the same way when you've decided to make choices to improve, you are going to make investments in yourself. You're going to make investments in reading. You're going to make investments in coaching. You'll look for life coaches. It's one of the reasons people call me. They're ready to make that investment. In my life coaching business, people call me because, Lizzie, I'm ready to change and I know I'm ready. I just don't know all the steps. Can we meet? I want to start planning out these steps. When I meet with executives who are wanting to plan out the steps for the organization, it's because the choice has been made. When the choice has been made, the investment says to you, I'm serious. When you don't make the investment in your change, eh, there's no commitment. So you haven't made a tangible commitment. So your brain looks at you and it's like, I heard you. I heard you saying it, but I don't see you doing it. Yeah, we're not making change. Everybody, hey, no change is being made. It was just, we're not making change. That's the message that goes through. If you watch that fabulous cartoon Inside Out, and I'm sure most of you've got kids, nieces, nephews, whatever, you've seen it, you can see this constant struggle between all these emotions where it's like all of a sudden fear's running the ship, and then anger's running the ship, and then happiness and hope is running the ship. It all depends. You've got to, though, have actions. And each one of those emotions and each thing you align with or do not align with produces actions or doesn't produce actions. It's just a fact. So again, it's up to you. Are you going to come with your actions and put some intention and make some things happen or not? It really is up to you. What are you going to do? I have said for myself over the years, um, one of the reasons I got into coaching, let me tell you my coaching story. I got into coaching after being fed up with therapy because it just seemed to take so long. And I'm not the most patient person in the world. It's just not it's not my DNA. My DNA is not like full of patience, and patience is not sewn in onto everything. It's just not there. I kind of like to have fast results. And what's the quick and easy way to get here, or what is the hard way to get here? If it's hard, I'm fine. Let's do it and let's get in with it. I'm not an issue with that. As a result, I didn't like therapy. I paid for it. I didn't like the idea of having the same conversation over and over again and not seeing a change and not having a how to. I wanted a how to. When I got into coaching and I had my first life coach, the results they blew my mind how fast I was able to get to a certain spot, how fast I was able to make adaptations I'd been struggling with because they enabled me to have some steps. They weren't just there listening to me talk. That for me was mind blowing. That's why I decided I wanted to get into life coaching, because I wanted to be able to provide the same things to people, right? To help them to find their hows, help them to understand that they can, and they're not just talking at me and getting frustrated with talking and no results on the end of it. Now, there's lots of different coaching frameworks. There's results-based coach. There are coaches that help you reset mindsets and go deep into your mindset and help you to switch behavior and turn off limiting beliefs by pulling on things like hypnotherapy. And I find that to be a really great tool when people are really stuck and don't believe on the inside of themselves that they can be anything else. I find it's great to pull hypnotherapy out of the toolkit and help them make those mental shifts fast and have the experience from the quick mental shift. And in having that quick mental shift, now they're able to see the value in themselves and be able to move on. That's why I find coaching such an amazing thing. Now, my fabulous co-host is here. I'm about to pop him in. Hey there.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I was just talking about how I got into coaching and why coaching became something that I really became very passionate about. You
Mm-hmm.
know, kind of set up my life coaching business as well, was because of how fast coaching was able to move me.
Mm-hmm.
I had done therapy for many years. Like I'd gone to therapy and done therapy, but it just always seemed so slow. Right. constantly saying the same thing over and over again. And I just
Right.
felt, I could do this on a tape recorder.
Mhm.
But when I had my first coach, the results were like, wow, here's some stuff I've been able to implement. Oh, here's some actual real change I'm seeing in myself. Wow, I'm able to process those emotions. And it was awesome. I wasn't leaving coaching sessions crying, but I was leading therapy sessions always in tears.
Mm.
The sessions I was always leaving empowered with a list.
Right.
Okay, let's go take this on. It was so very different for me. So it's one of the reasons why I align so strongly to coaching. It's not that I rule out therapy, and for some people therapy works.
Right.
But for me and the way I'm wired, coaching works better for me.
Right.
And I find coaches with different frameworks, different skill sets, what they've got. I love to be with NLP coaches because their toolkit is real deep and they know how to rewire my brain real fast. So that's great for me. And I have still not developed a muscle that's good enough that enables me to turn in on myself and do as much good stuff for myself that I can do for my clients.
Right. Right.
Thus, I still need to reach for coaching.
Mhm.
That's outside of myself. How about for you?
I think I'm the same way. I think I've always been one of those people who, do better when someone I think is more critical of me and really holding me accountable and really pushing me to be the best me that I can be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, yeah, I think I'm a person that does better with coaching as well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. But you seem like you do better with the style of what I call hardline coaching,
that's correct.
right?
That's
Because
correct.
there's different styles of coaching. There is the hardline coaching that kind of almost comes out of coaching mode, right? To really be kind of like your accountability buddy
Right, right.
that is going to hold you to the, kind of mean those kind of results that you've committed to.
Mhm.
And I always find that interesting because I think a lot of people thrive with that kind of coaching. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? That I'm holding you where no, what are you doing? That kind of,
right,
get yourself back in line. Um, and then there's other people who style wise, that's too aggressive for them.
right.
They need to find their steps
Mhm,
and they need to know that it was their decision and their choice to find those
mhm.
steps. And so then the coaching style with people like that is very different. And even like in life coaching, it's different with teams because there's certain teams you cannot go in hard, full force and drive because they just be like, really?
Right,
Watch us not do anything right now.
right. And so generally when I'm working with teams, I generally take almost kind of the laissez-faire type of coach attitude and just try to help them arrive at the decision to change and what direction to change in. And I think if I don't do that, then I almost have to go in like I think I would say maybe like a consultant coach
Mhm,
and say
mhm,
like, okay, so what is it that you need? Like, what are your pain points? How can I help you? And I think if you go in that way first and allow them to tell you what their issues are and you can help them with the issues that they see,
mhm,
once they see value from you in that aspect, they'll be more open to you being a little bit more hard line with them down the line.
mhm. So it's the idea of proving that you prove that you care for us in service of us,
Exactly. Exactly.
which comes back down to that Scrum Master role of servant leadership, right?
Mhm.
Let us see you serve us, that you're putting our intentions above your own, then we can trust you with the rest.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that's important in any relationship. I was talking earlier about the concept of when we talk about individuals and interactions, we
Mhm.
focus so much on the interactions we're having, and sometimes we fail to focus on the individual.
Right.
So when we're pulling Agile into everyday living, it's important for us to do the individual work.
Right.
That part of uncovering better ways to be us,
Right.
uncovering better ways for us to grow.
Mhm.
And I pulled in on principle number 10 of the manifesto
Mhm.
and to bring that to everyday living and talked very much about how it can help you stay well here as well here.
Mhm.
Because that idea of simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work you don't do,
Mhm.
applying that to everyday living allows you to tunnel your focus to things that are truly valuable and prevents you from the overwhelm.
Right. Because it's almost human nature to, want to be a people pleaser, particularly for right scrum masters and people who are in these type of positions. And so um, it can lead to burnout. It can lead to overwork. It can lead to feeling overwhelmed, right? And so, and I think you and I talked about this here recently offline, right? Sometimes the most important thing you can say for yourself and for others is no,
Yeah.
right? Enough is enough, and it's time for me to do the things that I know I need to do, right? And
Mhm.
so, maximizing um, the value, right, by saying, okay, I only have a finite amount of time or a finite amount of resources, and I'm going to spend that time and resources on the things that I know must be done or the things of highest necessity, right, or
Mhm.
highest important or highest priority,
Mhm.
right? Um, that a lot of times can mean the difference between like sanity and insanity, right?
I
Or
mean, absolutely. Because, and that once you get to the idea of focusing on you, you can stop the idea of doing the comparison
right.
because how somebody else lives and how somebody else chooses to live and chooses to be doesn't
Hmm.
have to be right for you, and it shouldn't be your marker.
Right.
A
Right.
lot of frameworks talk about modeling people, right?
Hmm.
Find the people that you should model.
Hmm.
But when you're modeling somebody, you are wanting their outcomes, right? But often one doesn't necessarily understand the journey that they went through to get to their outcomes,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And I would say a lot of people look at my life and go, oh, Lizzie, you've done this, you've done this. I wouldn't want you to go through my journey to have got to my outcomes.
Right. Right.
I wouldn't want that for you. I really wouldn't.
Right.
I'd rather you got to those outcomes a better way.
Right.
And because of the experiences I've had in so many genres of life, when I mentor people, which
Hmm.
I see that very different from when I coach, right? Because when I mentor people, I'm bringing you inside of me too.
Hmm.
So now I'm saying, hey, this is what I went through. And I'm sharing that real authenticness, and I'm taking everything off and allowing you to see things because I'm mentoring and I'm coming into this with you.
Hmm.
Versus when I'm coaching, I'm neutral.
Right.
I'm neutral. I'm there to take you on a journey through yourself. So you see you when you make choices and you do. And it
Hmm.
has nothing to do with choices I have made or would make.
Right.
And that's the part where, for us in our industry, we have to learn to be the coach. But then when we are bringing advice, is flip into being that consultant
Hmm.
and know when you're stepping in either space.
Right.
Like, very, be intentional. I'm about to be the consultant right now.
Right.
Now I'm coming into the coach. Now I'm coming into the teacher. You know what? I'm about to give you a little bit of mentorship.
Hmm.
So let me tell you about my Scrum journey. Let me tell you
Right.
about my career journey. Let me tell you about my career path. So in this path here, I'm going to open up and I'm going to mentor you on your career path. So I'm going to tell you about what happened in my career. I'm going to tell you about the experiences I've had, and that's what I'm going to push at. So it's like when we're doing the challenge that we start next week,
Right.
right? We're going to be stepping into coaching, mentoring, teaching,
Right.
right? But the mentoring is very much circled around career. and
Mhm.
growth and finding the right positions, and because it's going to be around that. That's where that mentorship will come in those 5 days of saying, hey, we're going to get naked with you about our career paths and how we found the positions that worked for us,
Mhm.
versus the idea of just taking, oh well, that's the job, let me just go grab that one. And what happens when you just willy-nilly grab a job
Right.
with no strategy behind it,
Right.
right? It doesn't align to you in any way, and then you wonder why you hate it and you're not
Right.
successful. So these are some of the things that we will dig into next week. And I'm thinking, because of when we're going to do the lives with people, we may actually kind of open up the live and allow people to just on that day to just see a bit of the challenge. That might be
Okay.
so kind of cool because we're gonna
Okay.
be in the challenge. So just give them that little kind of like 45 minutes to bring them in, and they
Mhm.
can see some of the things that we're talking about and take it out for themselves, and kind of get some value out of it. So in wrapping up, if I were going to say there were 3 tips that I would give somebody to help them discover their individuality
Mhm.
so that they can begin to grow the product that's them,
Mhm.
my 3 tips would be: one, take time. And the reason why I say take the time is because sometimes you won't make the time,
Mm.
right? So you got to
Right.
take the time.
Right.
So, first thing I would say is take the time. Second is practice looking in the mirror,
Mm.
right? Because when you can look in the mirror for a long time at yourself, eyeball to eyeball, then the person looking back at you is the person who's looking in the mirror too. But
Mhm.
when you can't, you got more work to do. Like, I mean, you got some deep work to do. It's kind of like,
Right.
when we talk about we got to agile smell, there's some smelly stuff in there. We're gonna have to deal with that.
Right.
Got to get rid of that stuff, right?
Right.
That's where kind of where you are. And then number third is practice consistent forgiveness of yourself to yourself.
Mhm. Right.
Those are the 3 tips I would give to somebody when you're talking about now starting to deal with you as an individual. Because if people don't practice taking time, looking in the mirror, they're going to be going around consistently being mad at themselves, hard on themselves. And here's the thing: when you're mad and hard at yourself, you're mad and hard at everybody else too.
Right. Right.
So those interactions that we want you to have that'll be valuable are going to be nasty for everybody else.
Right.
Because if you're nasty to you, you're going to be nasty to
Yep.
everybody else.
Yep. Very true.
All right. So what would 3 tips would you give people?
Man, you know what's funny is I was gonna give a couple of different tips from what you gave, but
Hmm.
it kind of all comes back to the same thing. The first one I was gonna say is be honest with yourself, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
so when you are looking in the mirror and kind of doing that self-assessment, like be honest with yourself about what it is you want and what it is you're willing to do to get what you want. Because
Mm,
kind of like you said, people will look at, where you are now and see what you've achieved and want it, but not be willing to do the work necessary to get there. And
hmm
so everybody doesn't have the same level of motivation. Everybody doesn't have the same level of perseverance or stick to itiveness, and everybody doesn't have the same level of foresight. And
mm,
so a lot of times for people, when it gets tough after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, people like to pivot. People like to change. And there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure that you're changing or pivoting for the right reason. Um, Me, I like to kind of be stubborn in some of the decisions that I make. I have goals that I'll set out for myself. And I used to be someone who was very um kind of like, I don't want to say double-minded, but would quickly kind of change my mind with the wind, if you will. And so I kind of made it a point that once I make a decision, I stay steadfast in that decision
hmm
no matter what, unless I have something extremely tangible that helps me make a change to my course or change my direction.
mm,
So it could have been a decision I made 6 months ago, a year ago. I need to stay steadfast in that decision until a major life event or like a very bright light comes on
Mm-hmm.
and resets my North Star. And I
I
tell
like
people
that.
that they have to do that, because if you don't, and you change with the wind, or you allow yourself to change direction because of your emotion, then you'll never get anywhere. You'll be just stuck
Mhm.
sailing in circles, right?
Right.
And so if I know that this is where I wanted to get, something big happened in my life that showed me like this was the way, and
Mm-hmm.
something bigger has to come along to show me that that's not the way anymore.
I
And so
like
if I don't have a better idea, a better plan, or a better destination,
that. Mm-hmm.
you need to keep sailing for the previous destination.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. That a bigger North Star, a brighter light, a
Right.
really big. And I like the way you said North Star, not shiny, not shiny,
Right.
not shiny object, not
Right.
shiny. Woo, not shiny.
It's a
Woo.
lot of shiny stuff everywhere.
Yeah, not shiny stuff, but big, bright North
Big.
Star light.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hello.
Right.
Course of direction has changed. Love that. I
Yeah.
love that. That's really cool. Yeah.
And
Well,
I think my
go ahead.
last thing is like be 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 what is the word I want to use? Um be serious about the work that it's gonna take to get there. So like do work, do the work every day, day in, day out. You should be doing something that's delivering value and getting you closer iteratively to that place that you want to be at. If you're not doing that every single day, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah,
Doing the idea of consistent improvement for yourself
that's it.
or for teams and organization is work. It's not magic.
Right,
It's
right.
work. It's new
It's not.
muscles
It's
that
not
we've
pretty.
got to build. No, it's not. It's
It's
new
not
muscles you got
sexy.
to build every day. No, it is not. It is not. It is absolutely not. Anybody who tells you that it is,
Right,
it's a
right.
Hollywood movie. It's a script.
It's funny. Somebody achieved a big goal the other day that I've been working with them on, and we kind of work in a group. And so, some people were asking like, when are you gonna teach a class on how to do that or to achieve that goal? And I said, the funny thing is, we've been putting on a clinic in how to do this every day for the last 18 months, but everybody didn't show up every
Mm,
day to this clinic to see what it would take. You guys are just now kind of seeing this big goal get achieved by them, but we've been doing it the whole time. It's not a 1 day or 5 hour clinic that I
mm,
can put on to teach you how to get there. Like, you literally have to show
yeah.
up every day
See,
to get there.
people want fast.
Right.
I mean, and I can be that way. I was talking about that because I'm not the most patient person in the world, but I'll take hard if I'm going to get a result.
Right.
And a lot of times when people are wanting fast, they're not wanting the hard,
Right. Right.
right? And the hard is going to be there.
Right.
And
Right.
even if it's the idea of, because I'm big on manifestation and affirmations, right?
Hmm.
But when you're working an affirmation to get it to manifestation, that's
Yeah.
work.
Right.
That's not just say it one time.
Right. Right.
I have the best life ever and I'm always healthy and wealthy. It's not once,
Right.
right? It takes some sitting in and meditating and becoming one with that. There's a lot of work to
Right.
manifesting that people don't realize.
Right.
So, oh, I'm manifesting. It doesn't take all of that. I'm going to manifest.
Bible says faith without works is dead. Right.
There's the work of changing your mindset. There's the work of renewing your mind
Hmm.
every single day.
Hmm.
So when you don't see what it is you've been looking for and desiring for, you don't say, oh, this don't work. And
Hmm.
again, ready to go to something else shiny.
Right.
Well, somebody says, if I come to this course and I do 10 days with them, my life's going to change.
Right. Right.
There's still some work you got to do that just didn't told you about them.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
always work because it's the idea a journey is one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. There's
Yep.
motion.
Right.
And that's the part that people don't realize. For every reaction that you want, for every outcome you want, there's motion. And the
Absolutely.
motion is the work.
Yep.
to get
Yep.
there. That's simply what it is. You have got to stay in motion. So I
Yep.
want to make sure I give everybody an invite to our challenge. How to find the agile position that fits you to a T. Want to invite you. We got a couple of days left before the challenge is closed, so you can get in. So take it, take it, take it. Go to the website beardedeagle.com, sign up for the challenge, click on the banner. It will put you there. You can also, if you are serious about doing it, here is the link right here up, the 5-day free challenge. You go to that bit.ly, grab my spot. It will put you in the challenge. Or if you're a Facebook person, go straight to Facebook, look up for the Bearded Eagle alumni group and ask to be invited into the group. We will let you in so you can be part of the challenge. We're kind of excited about this idea of really kind of helping people find the right fit.
So wait, Lizzie, are you saying that even if people aren't a Bearded Eagle alumni, you're going to allow them into the Bearded Eagle alumni group
We
and
are
let them take
giving
this challenge?
people some wings. We're
Wow. You know
adopting
what?
some family, man.
I had somebody ask me yesterday about it, and I said, "You're not alum, so you can't join."
Yes, we are literally doing this. We are, and it's just the first time ever. And so, what is
Okay.
really interesting? This is where we talk about the whole idea of coaching, right?
Hmm.
So, when I talked about doing the challenge, and I was talking to some of my coaches, they were like, "I was like, okay, so I'm going to set up a separate group." No, 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 don't do that. I said, "What? What? No, it's off. You're serving. You're pulling from your service part. You're pulling
Right.
from your giving, and that's a
Right.
really big part of when you're doing challenges is pulling out of your giving. I went,
Hmm.
oh, so we're adopting people then.
Wow.
Okay, so we're gonna adopt
Welcome
some
to the
people, give some
fam.
people. Yeah, we're gonna give some people some wings. Now, and I came with this whole thing because this was actually my coach's. So I said, oh, I'm gonna give them more wings. And she's like, yeah, there you go. That's your thing. I'm like, okay, we got a thing to do now. Everybody's gonna be winging. That's our thing. That's gonna be our thing. We got wings.
Come fly with the eagle.
That's right. Gotta teach people to come up into that atmosphere. Eagles
Right.
don't fly low.
Right. Right.
Eagles fly higher in any
Right.
atmosphere, way higher. So they have the ability to breathe at a different level, which is why they have the ability to see the way they see.
Mm.
So, what we're going to help people to do is to start seeing as eagles when it comes
Awesome.
to finding their position. So, I'm kind of excited about it. It's going to be, I'm going to be able to be like the coach. I'm going to be able to do a little bit of teaching, do some mentoring. And, it's going to be like, oh, I'm so excited. It's stupid
Awesome.
how excited I am actually.
I'm
But
excited.
it's gonna be really fun, and we will meet new people who weren't part of classes before who are coming into the group. So it's
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to building these relationships with people who will then go on and start doing this whole thing. Because I'm looking
Right.
like we teach the people these skills, they'll go on and they'll teach other people, and we're bringing in. I want to think that this is giving me the opportunity to sow into a better class of human.
Nice.
That's the way I want to see it, because when people find the right job that fits, that
Hmm.
affects their whole demographics of their lifestyle. And so it affects their family. It affects everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're talking about changing the way you've lived life because you're now able to earn at a different level. You're able to get into an industry that had seemed closed to you. You're really talking about a whole different lifestyle.
Breaking generational curses.
Yes.
It's powerful.
Yes. Yes. And that's something where I get to give back in. And one of the things I'll do is that I will kind of share my story about how an agile career changed my life,
Right.
because it literally really did. This has really changed my life, which is why this is not just about an industry for me.
Hmm.
Being agile is a way of life for me.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's changed the way I do life
Hmm.
because of really understanding these principles and bringing them to heart.
Hmm.
Every day for me is uncovering better ways of doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Right. But like I said, just like I said, that advice, that taking that time ain't no joke.
Seriously.
You've got to take the time, because if not, there will be no time. And especially the busier you get, you're not going to
Mhm.
make time, because
Right.
time's always being consumed by family, by stuff.
Right.
It's been just consumed.
Yeah.
So you've got to say, nah, this is mine. I'm taking this prisoner to do this
Mhm.
work on myself. And doing
Absolutely.
the work on you as an individual, it's priceless. It's priceless. I can't imagine who I would be today if I hadn't taken out work to start doing self growth with myself and
Yeah.
working on self growth. I I mean, today when something happens that would normally frustrate the life out of me, where I would just be like, on, I feel the frustration. It's not that the frustration doesn't happen,
Mhm.
but I have a muscle that is so attuned to making me take that pause,
Right.
and then I reframe it
Right.
so I can see past the frustration. I never ever used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. But now I can say, this is going to make a great story and another fabulous chapter to my book. That's what this is going to be. I'm going to be able to share how I was feeling in this moment and how I was able to reframe it so the moment didn't last past the moment.
Yeah.
And that's when you become a well oiled machine as a human.
Mhm.
Your pivots are seconds,
Right.
which is why you then can sustain a peaceful, fabulous life,
Mhm.
because you have built those muscles. But it takes time.
It does. It
you
does.
know it takes time. I look forward to the day where frustration won't even appear.
Mm.
I look forward to that, because yeah, it appears and I can pivot it, but I look forward to when it doesn't even come up for me. So I look forward to that day when I can say, oh, I remember when the frustration would come up, but today it's not even there.
Yeah.
So it's going to take practice, and there's
Yeah.
new muscles I've got to develop and I've got to build. So all of us, I don't know who said it, but I heard it, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I love it, that we're all under scaffolding.
Mhm. Mm.
Always. Always under scaffolding. And I used
Mm.
to hate that about when I lived back in the UK in London. Every building, the scaffold just never came down. You're always like, what could a ducking under this? Just constantly
Right.
working, really? Can we never
Right.
get finished? But
Right.
that's what we're talking about. When you
Yeah.
talk about doing this thing called life and doing it well, constantly
Mhm.
under scaffolding.
That's true.
you know
That's
but at least we're doing it with intention.
Mhm.
So it's a consciousness that we have around it. It's not willy-nilly. So I'm working on this great product called myself, so I can keep giving fabulous value to people who come in contact with me, because the more I work on me, the more capacity I will have to be able to
Mhm.
give and serve others. So it's
Right.
important that I keep the work up even when I don't feel like it, because I ain't gonna lie and be like, oh, I just feel like working on me every day. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm like, seriously? No, drop the mic. Couldn't I just say I dropped the mic over here in this moment? Like, yes, celebrate for a little bit.
Right.
No,
No.
still got work to do,
Yeah.
girl. Still
Yeah.
got work to do. You got really frustrated. That frustration was in your chest. It was in
Was
your
on your
chest for that
face.
2 minutes. Right. There for 2 minutes. Shouldn't have been in the chest.
Right.
There's some other things going on down there. Got to deal with
Right.
that stuff. So yeah, it's it's a journey. This thing is a journey. So yeah, and I think sometimes that's the piece that needs to be shared with people,
Mhm.
because people beat up on themselves so badly. I mean,
Right.
like,
Right.
we are our worst enemies in so many ways.
Yeah.
It's like somebody else don't have to beat up on you. Do it yourself.
Right. Right.
What would happen if we were our champions?
Mhm.
I mean, what would life
Mhm.
be like if I was constantly my champion and you were constantly your champion?
Yeah.
That's a thing to think about, right?
Yeah.
So we leave you with that thought as we wrap up the show for today. Say thank you so much for coming and joining us on Let's Talk Agile. We will be having our guest, not next week because we got the challenge. So next week you'll be hearing from like a couple of people who will expose to you with the challenge. But the week after, we're going to be having a guest coming by to tell their story. And I reached out to Toby today, Tobias.
Oh,
So he's
really?
going to see, yes, he's going to see where he can fit us into the schedule. And we're probably going to have to do his show pre recorded because obviously he's in the UK. Right.
Okay.
So we're going to probably do it that way. But I'm looking forward to that because his story is just too fun. Just too
Awesome.
brilliant. Yeah,
I'm
that's going
looking
to be a
forward
really,
to
really good one. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it that you came in the midst of baby almost coming.
Yes. It's
Yes,
been a
baby
crazy
almost.
week.
Yes. So, want to thank you. And I want to thank you, those of you who watch later, because I know a lot of you don't watch us the same time we're airing. Thank you so much for coming back and watching us later on. Don't forget, again, join in on the challenge. Tell everybody about the challenge. It is open. And let's just continue talking agile, people. Let's make it part of our everyday life so life keeps getting better.